Hello, I am Ryuki Tanaka, also known as Official Ryu over at Ryu's Lounge, which is my normal main channel. This, of course, is the official channel for the Shugeki Lancer VOMIC. I am the artist and story creator, I guess, author. But yeah, these videos, as you can tell already, are not scripted, and they're just going to be me focusing on each chapter and talking about the things I was thinking about whilst I wrote it. As well as bringing in things from the actual VOMIC, like talking about openings and things like experiences when I was actually voicing the character. And if you don't know, then I voice Kyoya Yarizaki, the main character, as well as his brother, actually, and a couple other minor characters here and there. So I will mention that whenever I go through the chapters, but this will be just an audio commentary, so there won't be too much in terms of the visuals. So if you just want to put it on in the background while you do something else, then I highly suggest you doing that rather than like focusing on the video or anything like that. But yeah, I'm just gonna be scriptless, no notes, anything like that, and I'm just gonna talk about the chapter, and I'll try and upload one after we upload the VOMIC. So when episode 4 comes out, hopefully I can get caught up to the 4th chapter in terms of this audio commentary. Now, as this is the first one, there will be room for improvement. There obviously will be. So, if there's anything you want me to do in the future, or if you want to ask any questions related to the series or anything like that, please leave it down below, and I'll definitely mention it in the future episodes, of course. But here we go, this is the first chapter commentary for Shugeki Lancer, and before we begin actually looking at each of the pages and all this, I guess I'm going to go through the backstory, or what actually happened in terms of how this series came to be. So I guess the first thing I should start off with is I was very much into drawing when I was in year 10, I believe, which was around 2015. And I was in high school, year 10, for, those of you in Australia, it'll be year 10. I don't know what the year system is in your country, but I was around 15, turning 16 kind of thing. And I would be drawing a lot you'd have the image up on the computer screen or something like that, and you would draw it down. So it's not like from scratch, of course. And I was getting to the point where I was actually getting pretty good at drawing characters that I've seen and things like that from an original image. So I thought the next step was to move over to something else. I wanted to, I was really enjoying drawing, and that's when I started really diving into anime and manga and things like that. And I thought, you know what, I kind of want to do this, get better, and what better way to get better than to start doing freehand drawing and to do things from scratch, no base, drawing your own characters, or, drawing existing characters in your own style or things like that. And it was pretty tough at the beginning, as, most of you probably will know if you have started out drawing and things like that. At the start, it's very difficult, and even now I still think I'm not very good at drawing, but I do enjoy what I'm doing. Now, what happened with this series, Shugeki Lancer, at the start of it, is I wanted to use this series as kind of like a journal for myself in order to see my own improvements while I keep drawing and do it in like a chapter-based kind of idea, I guess. The reason why this is so important is because this first chapter was originally meant to be just for myself. It was meant to be something that I just looked at, and then, whenever I have time, I'll add to it, I'll keep going, and, we'll see the different progression over time. However, one of my friends said he wanted to read it, and I said, alright, fine. So I ended up uploading it to a blogspot blog post thing, and my friend read it. He said, okay, it's, cool ideas, things like that. But at that point in time, I wasn't really thinking about the future in terms of what this series was going to be or anything like that, because it was just like a process journal kind of thing. But anyways, more people started asking to check it out, just out of curiosity, I guess. And I was like, okay, sure. And it turned out that, they said, okay, that's pretty cool. And then I added it to my link on my anime list, things like descriptions and things like that. And then soon enough, people were reading it. And then people started saying, like, you could do this idea better, or you could, it would be cool if you did this sort of character or something like that. And there was a real interaction going on. I'm like, okay, this is not what I planned for, but I am 100% okay with this. So I started thinking about the story more dramatically, and I started thinking about, plot progression, things like that. And that's how Shugeki Lancer became a thing. Now, obviously, I'm a lot more passionate. I want to finish the series, and if you're wondering, this series will be going on for a very long time. I have already planned and thought about how it's going to end, and the various different arcs and things like that. So don't worry, it's not going to be anything rushed. It's not going to be anything ending, this year or anything like that. It's going to be a very long process, but I do want to go through with it because I wasn't expecting this, but I'm very much appreciative of everyone who checked it out, even if the art's not great. And that is one of the reasons why the art wasn't great, was because it was meant to be something that I just look at my art progression, I guess. But anyways, I think I've talked too much about the backstory. I'm really sorry, and I think the first episode commentary will be a lot longer than some of the later ones. But yeah, I'm just gonna go through the pages and pretty much just input what I was thinking and things like that. Obviously, you've been looking at this volume cover for quite a while, and I actually did this after chapter 6, because, every chapter is about 30 pages long, 6 chapters, 180 pages. It's around a length of a volume, so I thought, alright, I'll make a volume cover. And yeah, that's how this came to be. Obviously, the artwork is not great around this time. To be honest, the lines look very rough until around chapter, I think it's 15. I think a 1 to 14 was drawn analog. So pretty much the process was I would draw it on paper, and then I'll fine line it, erase all the lines, scan it in, and then put it into Illustrator, and then it will be converted into vectors and things like that. So the lines could look kind of scrappy or messy. If we actually zoom in here, or you'd probably be able to tell, but it's not super straight. But however, in after chapter 15, I believe, is when I started using Surface Pro, and I just drew directly into Illustrator, which is really cool because it will snap all the lines into place and it will make it really smooth. So I think that kind of digital artwork really suits my style because it's a lot more smoother and things like that. And if you're a manga reader, I guess, I know it's a bit of a weird thing to say, but if you do read the manga, then you'd know that the later chapters do look a bit better. But yeah, anyways, let's move on. Of course, the series does start off with a car accident, and I guess my thought process behind this was I wanted to make a sports series that was enjoyable to someone who didn't understand the sport. I know that's a very weird thing to say, considering that a lot of people who watch sports series, very much enjoy that sport. You might be interested in basketball or something, you might watch Slam Dunk, Kuroko, or whatever. However, I kind of like watching sports series even if I don't enjoy the actual sport or if I don't know too much about it. And so I kind of wanted to make this series more about the characters and the storyline rather than the sport that's played. And that's kind of the reason why I included things like special shots and things like that, because that would make it a lot easier to understand and a lot more like a shonen series where, it feels very much familiar, but the story at hand's a bit different, I guess, or it's a bit unique. One more thing I have to say as well, which, again, like I said, there is quite a lot to talk about in the first commentary, because there's just so much, like, the backstory, I guess, or so much things I want to talk about before the actual series. Another one of my inspirations, or I guess one of my key goals, was to combine kind of the simplisticness of 80s manga art styles, or plot lines, maybe. Things like cliches, or things that are predictable, but put a twist to it, put a modern twist to it. And that's kind of the reason why, some people, or some of my readers have actually said that, I wasn't predicting this to go, in a certain way or something like that. And I'm always happy when people say that, because that's kind of what I'm aiming for. I was aiming for that kind of mixture between like, oh, I recognize this archetype, to, oh, but I didn't expect that to happen kind of thing. So yeah, hopefully, you guys can't predict what's about to happen next sometimes, even if some things are very familiar. I don't know. Just thought I'd throw that in. But again, like I said, this is one of the things where I just wanted to start off with a bang. The first panel is an ambulance siren, and as you can see, there's some of the pictures here do look a bit scrappy, but yeah. As for, I'm actually kind of impressed by how well I did. Like this angle, I guess, of like the door or like the siren or something. Like, I'm sure I just looked up an image of what a car looked like from an inside, and the top of a siren, and then kind of worked with that, but I'm actually impressed that that was the first image. Yeah. Anyways, and if you're wondering, yes, I am my own fan, if that makes sense. I know that's a weird thing to say, but I think that if you guys get excited over a certain thing that's happening in the series, my excitement's probably like 3 times more than that. So, you know, I think I am my biggest fan. But yeah, I guess in the original chapter I did use sound effects, but after planning this through, I was like, maybe, you know, it took time, first of all, and the second thing was I just didn't feel like it really added anything, because you could just see it, and also, like, you know, if this was going to be, like, I was thinking of making like a VOMIC version, like a voice version, from as early as around chapter 3, I think, like halfway through chapter 3 maybe, because I think I started recording the first episode's lines around when chapter 4 came out. So around then I was just like, okay, I want to make it a VOMIC. If there's going to be English text, then I don't really want Japanese writing in the background. That's the reason why the sound effects are there. I've been talking a bit too long. Let's move on. Now obviously I wanted to, like I said, I wanted to start it off with something shocking, something that you wouldn't expect to see in a sports series. I guess just set the tone. You know, the art looks cheesy, the special moves and things are over top, but I just wanted to show the reader that you know, there's some serious moments in this series, and you know, people just like real life are gonna pass away, and that's gonna, you know, of course, make negative effects on the people around them, of course. You know, this isn't some 80s manga when people, you know, characters are killed off and then they come back or anything like that. And that's kind of what I wanted to show off, I guess, in the first part of the chapter. Of course, here we have Touma Yarizaki, main character's older brother, who I also did voice in the first chapter. Especially with the first chapter, there was a lot of minor characters that didn't have like voices and things like that. So I think we might have only had 4 voice actors, maybe 5. It was like 4 or 5 people working on the actual first episode, and so we were just kind of splitting off like the minor characters. But I think I did a good job in choosing my own voice for Touma as well as Kyoya, because, you know, they're related, and I thought it'd be cool if they had like a similar voice. But yeah, here we go. I think, to be honest, I don't know what I was thinking here with like Toma's little like horn-looking hair. I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking, but yeah, I think it looks unique enough. I don't know. Of course, yeah, we get you know, Kyoya, the main character's resolve here. We get to see what he wants to aim for, which I think is a very good thing to just show off instantly. If you're going to start off a series, show off the main character, show off his goals, what are we aiming for, kind of thing, and that's kind of what I wanted to do. That's pretty much what happened. Of course, the first chapter cover, first of all, the eyes are too big, I can already tell you that much, and if you are only watching the first 3 episodes, and if you know, haven't read on the manga, then that's completely understandable. They're all going to be adapted, you know, eventually, of course, but, you know, yeah, the eyes and, you know, the art style gets a lot more refined later on, so please be patient with me. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. But anyways, yeah, so we got 4 of the main characters here. I actually really like how thick some of the lines are here. I haven't actually looked at this picture extremely closely for a very long time. But, of course, we got Tamaro and Kageyaki and Daimon here, which, you know, they're part of the main cast, so I thought I'd throw them in there. Of course, we are missing a certain someone, but I'm not going to get into that, because with these audio commentaries, I just want to talk about the chapter that we're on. I don't want to spoil anything, even though I do hint at further plot points, but I'll go back to that. So let's just say I, you know, hinted at something in chapter 8 or something like that, in this first chapter. This is just an example, by the way. Then, you know, I would talk about it when we're talking about chapter 8, I think. Just because I don't want to, you know, spoil anyone by accident or anything. Anywho, this is our, I guess, our setting, Touran Academy. I guess I should have put like a subtext here saying that's Touran, you know, in Japanese characters. But, yeah, we're at Touran, and, yeah, I just wanted to make it I guess, a kind of like a basic school kind of thing. You know, the outfit's just, or the uniform, sorry, it's just a black jacket with a blue stripe, and I don't know, thought it was cool. And, of course, I wanted to populate the class a little bit. We got the homeroom teacher, Mariando, and we got these 2 here, random classmates. These were meant to be one-off characters. This isn't a spoiler, I guess, but I actually did bring them back for a bit of filler dialogue a bit later on. so I think I might just go along with it. They're a part of the class, they're a part of the series, I don't know. But here we go, we've got Kyoya and Tamuro's first meeting. Tamuro looks very different to what he looks like right now, I'll tell you that much. But there he is, of course, voiced by Huabolo, of course. Which, might I just add, his performance, I don't know if he's watching this, but his performance of the character blew me away, because that was exactly how I thought he would sound when I was actually writing the character. It's happened a couple times, but again, the characters aren't introduced yet, so I'm not going to talk about that, but I feel like with this kind of commentary, I'll talk about the voice actors as well, and, how I chose them compared to some other auditions, or something like that, I don't know. Yeah, but Tamuro's voice, on point, I'm telling you. And I can't wait to see, or I can't wait to hear what performance are lining up ahead, I guess. I don't know. And yeah, I guess that's where it all started. Of course, we get a bit of sneak peek of the captain here, and he's not really. I think he's only in these 3 panels in this first chapter, but he will be a lot more important as time goes on. We got Yoda Daimon here, voiced by Blaine Drew. He's been, one of my friends for a while, voice acting friends, I guess. And we've worked on different abridged series and things like that. You don't need to look it up. It wasn't super good, but yeah, I pretty much just contacted him and I just said, you think you can voice this character? Because I knew he had that kind of tough kind of voice, which I thought really worked well with the character. So yeah, that's pretty much what happened with Daimon here. I actually voiced the headmaster here, actually. Which, yeah, with a bit of a deep voice. I don't remember what my performance was like, but yeah, I guess he's the headmaster. I don't know. He doesn't appear too often. Moving on with the chapter, I guess the problem, I guess, or not the problem, but like the villain of the chapter is introduced here, Onimura. And I actually voiced him. I think I did an alright job with voicing him. In fact, I had a whole bunch of fun voicing him. The thing with voicing Kyoya, he's a bit monotone, and he's a little bit different from my initial tone, of course. And the thing with him that's very difficult to do is when he gets a bit expressive, when he gets a bit passionate. Because he's got such a dull kind of monotone voice, it's a little bit hard. With Onimura, I had a ton of fun because he's got that very much aggressive attitude, and I don't know, I don't know what it was, but I just had a blast with playing his character. So yeah, what voice actor says he prefers playing the villain compared to the main character? I don't know, but yeah, there you go. That's the whole thing with Onimura. So with Kyoya, this is just an example. I'm just gonna read 2 of the bits of dialogue here. I heard it was in front of the gymnasium, but... So as I mentioned before, Kyoya is very much monotone, and then you got Onimura, which is, Yo Tamuro, were you well? So, the difference, as you can tell, and it was kind of funny because I was pretty much talking to myself at the end of the chapter, where, the Onimura and Kyoya were talking. But yeah, I mean, that's one of the great things about doing voice acting, doing fan-based voice acting, things like that, like things that aren't professional, of course, because you get to have a lot of fun with it. I'm assuming, that being said, I think professional acting is probably fun as well, but there's a lot more, I guess you can just have a blast with just, free, non-profit voice acting, I guess. I don't know what you call it, but, yeah, I just have a lot of fun doing these voices. Yeah, and I think I did, that panel actually looks alright with Onimura. Yeah, his eyes are really sharp. Which, I don't know if that's what I was intending. Yes, bit of a smoker. Of course, yeah, like I said, I did want a villain of the chapter who was, I wouldn't say a throwaway villain, but someone who was just going to get defeated in the first chapter, just to show off how, I guess, the main character is like. I feel like this is the issue with the first chapter. Looking back at it, as the author, I don't like this first chapter. In fact, if I could rewrite it, I would, but I kind of can't, of course, because I just want to keep moving forward, of course. But with the first chapter, I just think it's very much predictable. The only thing I like about the first chapter is the very start, and maybe the hinting at, the captain back here. But everything else just feels like a generic sports series or generic shonen series. So whenever, I hear someone's about to read my series, I just say, be patient and don't judge the series by the first chapter. And then I just talk about how it wasn't intended to, come out to the public. It was just meant to be like a journal thing. That being said, I think I should just, respect the first chapter as is, because that's what started it all. I think Onimura as a character is pretty cool. I quite like him. I like his design, for sure. But of course, we got Kyoya hitting him, of course. I was told, actually, it's like, it wouldn't hurt if you get hit by a table tennis ball. And, that made me laugh a little bit. But the whole point of this was pretty much just to show off that this is superpowered table tennis. At the end of the day, it isn't realistic, and it was never meant to be. So, yeah, you're gonna have some crazy moments like this, but hopefully you can get used to it, or maybe you've already, experienced something similar to this, maybe like Prince of Tennis, Inazuma 11, something like that. And that's the thing, I do very much prefer superpowered sports series to sports series, and that's because I very much enjoy shonen battle and things like that, and I'm not a huge, I don't really play sports anymore, and, if you can just dive into a series, even if you don't know the rules to a certain sport, I feel like that's great, and a lot of the time how they show story and characters is through things like super moves, with series like Kuroko and Prince of Tennis, Inazuma 11, all those types of series, of course, which, I do very much enjoy, so, yeah. Anyways, can I just say, I would never do this many panels on one page nowadays, because what's that? That's like 3, 7, that's like 10 panels, which I wouldn't do because, I don't know, it looks a little bit crammed, but I do really like that, the little, the two-shot, I guess, at the bottom, which I think is pretty cool. But we got Onimura. He's got very fashionable hair for a delinquent, I'll tell you that much. And if you ever think, like, when you're reading my series, like, does the author really like delinquents or something like that, then you're not wrong. I've noticed that I have a lot of delinquent characters in my series, and that's probably because I very much enjoy those types of like straight thug based series and things like that, and maybe that's maybe I'm being inspired to write some of those characters because I think they're very enjoyable. I don't know, but I mean, we'll talk about delinquents and things like that next audio commentary, because I'm sure some people already know what I'm hinting at. So this was the halfway point of the chapter, and it switches over to the second half, which is actually perfect because that's actually page 15. I don't always do that style of writing where you split the chapter into halves, but I do it sometimes, where it's like you have half the chapter, which is like the end of a match or something, and then the second half is like the introduction of a new character or a new plot line or something like that. You can give to the reader, a bit of both at the same time, which I think is really cool. But anyways, we got a couple more sound effects, I guess, and we got Kageyaki Nijino, who is voiced by Josie, who is actually the editor for Shugeki Lancer right now in terms of the VOMIC dubs from episode 3 onwards. So if you're watching this, thank you very much for your hard work. But yeah, I think she does a very good job at portraying Nijino's character. Kageyaki, Nijino, whichever one you want to use. She's very much an energetic character. And, as you can see, that's pretty much the reason why I made her hair yellow. That's the thing with this series. I really do like to play around with hair colors and eye colors and things like that. Maybe to show off their personality, that sort of thing. With Kyoya, he's a bit more laid back, or not laid back, but he's very much what's the word? Kind of monotone, kind of just basic. So pretty much the reason why I gave him black hair. If you actually notice, this is actually kind of dark gray hair, and the reason behind this is because I didn't want the color to match the outline because it looked really weird. But yeah, I don't know. I guess that's interesting to talk about. Maybe not. Anyways. So this is the first table tennis match, and this is pretty much, like I said, the first half is the introduction, or the story-based bit, and then the second half is the actual match, which is a formula I do like to use quite a bit. That being said, I don't like repeating or making things repetitive, so I do style it up a bit and change it depending on the chapter. But for this first chapter, I think it worked, I guess, in terms of the two halves. I just want to mention as well, this panel of the table tennis table, I was really, really happy when I first drew it, but now I look at it, it doesn't look all that good. So yeah, things like this, it's pretty funny to look at when you're initially drawing it, you're just like, this looks so good, and then 17 chapters later, you look back and you're just like, what is this mess? So, that happens a lot, actually. But yeah, this is pretty much where we get first introduced to the table tennis or the sports of this universe, of this series. Yeah, I really like how I did some of the speed lines back then. They're very, very spiky, I guess. I don't know. Very impactful. I think it's good. To be fair, I actually don't have too much to say about this. It's just, and when I actually plan these matches, I kind of just envision it in my head, and I just go, okay, you know, this person's serving, or this character's serving, and then this character's hitting it back, and then when do I want the character to win a point, kind of thing. And then I just kind of cycle through that process, and then, you know, you just end up with a match. And I noticed because this match is actually a 3-point match, as it's just a bit of a, I guess, a mini fight that they're having compared to like a tournament match. But with a tournament match, I noticed when I was writing it, it would have been too long if I had done, you know, like real rules when you have 3 rounds and you have like 11 points each and things like that. So there's a lot of times when there's like time skipping through the match, so you just get snippets of the match and get the highlights, which I feel like that's the only way you can really write a table tennis series. But you know, I think it works. I don't know. You know, in regards to all these ideas that I'm talking about, you're more than welcome to write down your opinions down below, and I'll definitely look through them. Maybe get some, you know, feedback in the process. That'd be very much appreciated. Oh, and in terms of feedback, if the feedback is the art isn't good, then I know that the most. So yeah, I just want to mention that. I do know that the art is very bad, but I think the contents and the story, it makes it enjoyable enough, if that makes sense. I mean, again, I don't know. Maybe you know, maybe some people don't enjoy it. Maybe it's not their thing, but that's completely fine. I at least try through the energy of the series and through the just, you know, the storyline and the contents of the series. Now this is where we get our first technique. In fact, I just realized I probably should have colored that in blue, now that I think about it, but that's fine. Eagle ambush, of course. Back then, I was thinking maybe to just have the attack name in the bottom and the character's not calling it out. But recently I've been thinking, with some of the recent chapters I've been writing, I'm like, when I adapt them, I probably should make the character say the name of the moves, because it might sound a little bit, I don't know, it might just add a bit more, you know, emphasis on the moves and things like that. But of course we've got Eagle Ambush. This is back when I wanted to use Japanese words for the special moves, which I don't know what I was thinking about, because it just doesn't sound good. So maybe, I don't know. But, you know, I can't really change anything because the VOMIC's up already, and, you know, you can't edit videos that are already on YouTube or anything like that. But, yeah, I think I did pretty okay, you know, effort at drawing this bird here. Now, with this bit, with Kira actually deflecting the special move, you know, already at the start, or, you know, just directly just deflecting it back, what I kind of wanted to show was Onimura, he's not very strong here, is kind of what I wanted to show. He's pretty much all talk, and that's pretty much the reason why I just deflected his special move back, and it was just like, oh yeah, we're done with that. Which, you know, it might sound like a bit of a cop-out to block a special move or something like that, but pretty much all I was just trying to say was Kyoya's leagues above Onimura at this point. We also get a slight hint at something here, but I'm going to talk about that next time, because that is a key idea focused on in Chapter 2. Like I said, I really do like branching out from key plot points and ideas in further chapters, because that's, you know, that's just, I feel like that's the idea of good writing. You plant something a couple chapters ago, and then, you know, a few chapters into the future, you bring that back or something like that, and you just, you know, link the plot points together. I just feel like that's just, you know, that's just standard writing though, isn't it? Anyways, so, yeah, this is where we get a bit of backstory with Toma. I wanted to, I guess one of the ideas I wanted to show off here is Toma is pretty much Kyoya's idol, of course, as well as many of the players in Japan, and that's pretty much... and I guess this is one of the key ideas of, is Kyoya's, you know, special move, is that his or is that his brother's? And I guess that does get explored a bit later on, which I think, you know, it's, I guess it's a very much used, idea throughout shonen and sports series, but you know, I wanted to give it a go and see how I could go with it. And that's the thing, there's a lot of experimenting within this series and within some of the plot points I use. But yeah, I just thought I'd throw in a bit of a flashback. It's not too long, and I don't really like flashbacks that are extremely long, personally, to read through. But I really do like it when, you know, authors throw in their own little tidbits about the character in just a couple panels, or in just a few pages, or something like that. And that's the reason why most of the flashbacks I use, they're only like 2 pages long. Or, you know, usually less, even. Like, with this instance, it's just a 1-page thing, but, it, you know, it paints that Kyoya's, you know, looking up to his brother. And here we go. I was so hyped when I drew this originally, and I used this in the opening, actually, in the VOMIC opening. And there's a lot of panels I use in this chapter in the opening, I think. But yeah, the Koraiso, of course, Lightning Spear. So this actually links to the name of this series. I came up with Shugeki Lancer. So Shugeki means to pierce through. And I came up with that idea because I was thinking, like, what could be cool in a table tennis series? Originally I was thinking of doing a shonen battle series, but I'm like, I don't have the art skill to do that. So instead I'll do something like a sports series, which is a little bit more forgiving, I guess. I wouldn't say it's forgiving for bad art, but I'm just saying it's a bit easier than drawing a fight choreography and things like that. I was thinking, what could I do with table tennis to make it feel really cool, or to have like special moves? And I was thinking, what about like a shot that can just go straight through a racket? And that's exactly what I did here, where Kyo is just like, it's a smash that pierces through anything, and his racket just completely gets destroyed. And if you're wondering, this is a thing I do like doing quite a bit. Things like, rackets breaking, nets getting destroyed. I don't know. I just like exaggerating a bit, I guess. I don't know. And that's the thing. It's very much a shonen thing. And I guess it's just the thing of letting go of reality a bit and just treating this as a fictional story. Or like just a fictional sports story. And that's exactly why I do things like this in my series, I guess. And, they're using special moves, of course. It's going to be extra. But I do quite like this panel down here. And we finish off with the resemblance between Kyoya and Toma, and saying that he is the second Piercing Lancer. When I was translating this, I didn't know if I should say second Shugeki Lancer or second Piercing Lancer. I thought, you know what, I'll go with Piercing Lancer because that's understandable. It's the word is translated, it makes more sense. And that's about it for the first chapter. I don't know how long I've been talking for, but I do want to talk about a couple other things, like the bonus pages, as well as the opening and ending for the VOMIC. So I'll be talking for a little bit longer. I'm assuming the further we go down these chapters and talk about them, the less the video lengths will be. Just because, most of the ground ideas will be placed down, and it will just be me talking about the current events and things like that. But anyways, I did this profile. I try to do a profile. Well, I do a profile every single chapter. And this is actually something that was used, or this is an idea that's going to be used for the advert cards, which are those things in the middle of an episode. From episode 3 onwards, I started doing this where I put a transition in the middle of the episode to make it feel like an actual anime, where you have the first half of the episode, the ad break, and then the second half. And yeah, I just thought it would be pretty cool to use. Now, it's not in episode 1 and 2, and I can't go back and edit it in because, YouTube. But yeah, I think it worked pretty well. But of course, we were Kyoya Arizaki, age 17. Actually, on the topic of that, I wanted to make the main character in high school rather than junior high school. A lot of sports main characters, junior high school, especially ones that are using special moves and things like that, because it's targeted more at a younger demographic. It just, I thought if I did high school characters, it would be a lot easier to write plot lines and make more serious tones within the writing and things like that. That's the reason why Kyo is 17, I guess. And also he doesn't really seem like a final year student. He doesn't, seem like a third year. So that's why he's a second year. Actually, a bit of a backstory with Shugeki Time. It originally started because one of my readers wanted to do a fan comic or a little comedy comic. This was during chapter 4, I believe. It was the one with Nanjo. I'm not going to say what it was about because that might be spoiler territory. Because, it's not even adapted at this point in time. But yeah, that's pretty much where it started. And then I started doing Shugeki Times ever since then. And yeah, I think she did chapter 4's and 5's Shugeki Time, maybe even 6's. I think she did like 2 or 3 of them. And then I started doing them regularly. And then as the VOMIC came out, I went back to the first chapter and the second chapter and then started drawing the Shugeki Times for each of these. And can I just say, if anyone else does web manga or these types of comedy kind of series, I guess, or comedy pages, I feel like this is harder to write than the actual story. And a bit of a fun fact as well, all these Shugeki Times are canon to the story. And that's why I don't do anything too crazy in any of these, but just give a bit of a funny little backstory for a character, or a little bit of a side plot that's not super important or something like that. But and yeah, that's why we called it Shugeki Time. It's got the really badly drawn cross across it, and I did this because it kind of replicates that sort of playful side of Shugeki Lancer. I don't know, I have no idea. But yeah, this was about Kyoya's introduction, and I think it fits his character. Yeah, he'd be up until 2 o'clock trying to think about what he was going to say on his first day. I don't know. Anyways, that's about it for the first chapter, the first commentary. But now we're going to be talking about the opening and the ending. I don't want to get a copyright claim because every time we upload an episode, we get a copyright claim for the opening. But we're actually allowed to use it because I looked into the company who gives us the copyright claim, and they said they won't take it down. It's just the artist will get revenue, and that's completely fine. I don't really mind about that at all. But the opening song is Soul of the King, I believe. Yeah, Soul of the King by T-Pistons. It was used for Inazuma 11 Online. I just want to say the opening will change every 13 episodes, just like a normal series. And the openings, how they're chosen, there's a couple of criteria. First of all, I don't want it to be a song that's super well known, because then there'll be a lot of, impressions about that song related to another series. So let's just say I used a song from Naruto or something. Then the people who watched it and who already knew Naruto have a strong connection of that song to Naruto. And that's why it wouldn't work very well. As for the song we used, it was from a Inazuma 11 video game that not many people played. And I thought, okay, why not? It suits the first arc. I probably could have done better. I really could have. But yeah, anyways, the second criteria is trying to avoid copyright claims, and I don't mind too much if we get just music used in the video, in the description, and it automatically does that. I don't mind that too much, but I do want to stay on the safe side just in case. So yeah, I just try to use songs that aren't as copyright heavy and things like that. As for the ending song, it was Air Drive by Elephant Girl, which was used in the Japanese dub of Bakugan. If you're wondering how I even got that song, it was back when I was actually watching Bakugan as a kid, and I found that song, and I downloaded it, and it had been on my hard drive for so long, and then I just randomly found it again, and I'm like, okay, this song actually works, and then looked into it, copyright claims don't seem like they're up, so I'm like, alright, I'll use it. So that's how that song came to be, and I think it fits very well. Alright, so I'm just going to watch the opening, but without the audio, because, that's the copyright claimed bit, and I'm assuming you guys just want to hear what I have to say about the opening and things like that. Of course, I'm not going to be doing this every episode, obviously, but I will be, every time we get a new opening, a new ending, I'll talk about it, and I'll just say what I was trying to get, the overall feel and things like that. But after this, I'll just end off the commentary. Hopefully it wasn't too long, but yeah, let's take a look at the opening and ending. So essentially what I wanted to do with this opening was show off all the characters and just hype up, just like every normal shonen opening. We got the credits here, which I try to replicate from an actual anime opening. Things like original author, things like the song used, and things like that. The ending has all the credits, of course. We've got Shugeki Lancer, of course. I think I did an alright job with that logo, actually, for what it was. And yeah, I just wanted to show off the main characters. We've got Kyoya here, we've got Tamuro here, and you got all the panels flying through. I think I did this when we were on like chapter 7 or 8, probably, so there wasn't too much to work with. But yeah, we got Daimon, and then we finally have Kageyaki as well. And I didn't want to spoil too much on who's gonna join later on or anything like that. I'm not hitting at anything. But yeah, of course, there's that panel. I'm not going to talk about this for now, but if you read the manga, then you might know what that is. Anyways, and this is where I just show off most of the early matches. We got Kyoya versus Onimura, Kyoya versus Daimon, and then we have Nanjo here, of course, which I'm not going to talk about too much because of spoilers. We got Koizumi there as well. Again, nothing too much. And then we're moving on to another arc that's coming up. And that's how I end the opening. I think I did a really good job with this, though, with what I had. Because I didn't have too many chapters I could work with. I think I did capture what an anime opening really felt like. And I think the music works, the visuals work. You got, the initial stuff. It's leading towards a certain arc that's coming up. I think it's very much anime opening like. And I didn't spoil anything too much, I don't think. So I think I did an alright job. So the ending song is literally nothing special. It's just 5 images of the characters, of course. But this coloring was done by one of my online friends, and she did such a good job with it because of all the lighting in the hair and things like that. Like I can't do that shit. But yeah, I think it looks incredible. You got all the characters here. I wonder who that is. Well, yeah, anyways, yeah, we're talking about the music used and things like that. But yeah, and I also really like the shadows that she put in the background. Pretty much what I just said was, could you make me like, an ending credits sequence thing, or like pictures to use for an ending credits? And yeah, she just whipped those 5 up. I mean, I drew them, but she colored in and gave the shadows and things like that. Absolutely incredible job, I'm telling you. And that's the thing with this series. There's so much support in terms of to make this series happen. I get sent character designs to use, but other than that, there's voice acting. Amazing voice actors, and things like this with coloring, panels and coloring pictures and things like that. Which I couldn't do this. I really couldn't do something like this. But it just looks amazing. I really like the song as well. But anyways, that's about it for the first commentary. Hopefully I didn't bore you too much. Hopefully you learned something new about the series, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Again, like I said, I'll try and do one of these for each episode as they come out, or maybe like a week after they come out, that kind of thing. But yeah, I've done quite a lot of talking, so I'm going to end this one off here. Hopefully you guys enjoy the series from now on, and even if the artwork doesn't look good, hopefully you can find something that you enjoy out of it. That'd be great. And again, if you want to audition or anything like that, then whenever auditions happen, the post would be on my Twitter, or in the description, or on the community tab, one or the other. It'll be there somewhere. So yeah, if you're interested, please do that. But anyways, thank you all for the support, and I'll see you guys in the second commentary of Shugeki Lancer. I'll see you guys then.